This hangout is live, and I am in the bathtub as promised. What's going on, everybody? I'm Joe Mike Terranella, and I am relaxing from a long week of work and a long 2018. Speaking of 2018, welcome to the Friday 3D Printing Community Hangout and the Year in Review final episode for 2018. We've got some great people on the panel today, or tonight, and we're going to be kind of just going through the awesome events and projects and products that graced the presence of the 3D printing community during the year of 2018. And I think I said 2008, which was my bad. When you're in a bathtub, I mean, I guess I'm in a hot tub time machine.
I didn't even know what 3D print was in 2008, but okay.
Yeah, no one did. Okay, so before we get to introductions, I want to say hello to everybody in the chat. It's nice to have you for our last broadcast of the year. Just a quick disclaimer. I will not be in the tub for the entire broadcast because of my body, I don't think, can handle that. So at some point, I'm going to have to turn off my camera and probably my sound and get dressed and move elsewhere. So there might be a slight...
At least the camera.
Yeah, gosh, at least the camera. So there... Yes, I was serious. So at least, for a time being, I'm going to have to hand off the host reins to somebody else. And don't worry about it, Brian. I will not stand up.
Not really a fan of it. Okay.
Right now, my biggest fear is the camera falling down. Walter, yes. I think has the echo, perhaps.
Do I have an? I don't. I shouldn't have an echo.
Check 1 2. Oh, it's gone now.
Test these 1 2. Test these 1 2.
Jake, unsubscribe. Jake, this should make you want to subscribe.
Matt's not going anywhere.
What are you wearing, Jake? From State Farm.
Khakis.
Okay. That sounds hideous. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get on with the introductions. I will start on my left. And if you're wondering why I'm looking that way, my laptop is over there safely on a chair away from the water. So on my left first is Mr. Chris. Tell us where they can find you, what you do, and all the good things.
Hey, everybody. Chris here. You can find me on the Twitters at mcrispy1. One of the co-founders of Earth. We'll be talking about that later tonight, I hope. And you can find more information about that at www.eastcoastrepfestival.com. That's it.
All right, great. Up next, I think is Matt, but all I see is the 3D printing hangout logo, and then the mic is muted, so we're going to skip him for now. Which Walter, are you ready?
Sure, why not?
Go for it, sir.
All right, I'm Walter, Country 3D. You can find me everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all at Country 3D. And I'm just a flunky. I don't do much of anything. I just print and talk, and that's pretty much it. Next.
I think it might be the dream team of Nick and Lauren who are next up in the queue. Welcome, guys.
Hello. It's just me at the moment. Lauren's coming right in. There she is. Just doing interest.
Oh, hi, everybody. It's been a long time.
Hello.
Long see no time.
Right?
So you are?
I'm Lauren from Buzz Designs.
And Nick, also, I guess, of Buzz Designs, but you find me on Twitter at VanFullOfPuppies.
Yeah, you are Nick from Van Full Puppies.
Right.
That is you. So tell us a little about what you do. Lauren, you want to plug your Etsy shop or any of that stuff?
It's currently on vacation, a well-deserved after the crazy year vacation. So I sell Disney-inspired goods on my Etsy site, which you can find at abuzdesigns.com.
Oh, I like that description, Disney-inspired goods.
I'm about to say that is PR as it gets.
Yeah, so I also used to have a YouTube channel, which was also Buzz Designs, but when the Etsy shop got so crazy busy, I had to cut back something, and that's what, unfortunately, I had to cut back. But maybe at some point when I'm upgrading the MMU, I will do another live stream for that.
Sweet. And Nick is, sorry for the pit here. I'm turning off my my jacuzzi tub there. Now it's nice and quiet in here. It's almost a little awkward. Just a little bit.
It's unnervingly quiet, actually.
It really is unnervingly quiet in here, knowing that my wife is in the other room. So, okay. Nick also made a keg out of a rep box.
We did. We created a rep box kegerator edition. We put a nice little tap inside the rep box and had it flowing nicely. It's not currently hooked up. The tap is still in there, but the keg is downstairs at the moment. Could move it up if I wanted to. Beyond that, just some general tinkering. In the background, you see what's maybe left of an A-net that continues to get upgraded and have different things happen to it. And as Lauren was mentioning, she kind of backed away from YouTube, but over the holidays, I got a much better webcam. So I might be jumping in to fill the void here come the new year.
Very cool. I think I would speak for all of us to say that we want to see more of you. I mean, obviously.
That could be very dangerous. I'm thinking that I also might need either bathtub or shower episodes. I mean, I'm inspired right now, Joe Mike.
Yeah. That's what I do. Okay, so that brings us to Mr. Richard Murray, the Zadim.
Hello, my name's Richard Murray, and the channel is the Zadim channel. And you can find me on zadim.com. I try to focus on 3D printing for model trains, but lately I've been stuck in the gaming world. Right now I'm cleaning up parts for Gaslands. It's a little board top game. You play with Hot Wheels and based on Mad Max. But yeah, and I got chainmail on the side and behind me here. But haven't been doing my live broadcast very much lately due to health issues, but I hope to get back at it.
All right. And for those who don't frequent Zadim on the YouTube, you really should, because the model train stuff and the things that he's been doing with particularly SLA printing with his Moai, just awesome things, especially coming from a background of growing up with model trains. I really love that stuff. You and Calvin Witt keep me entertained quite a bit.
I love my Moai.
Yeah. And then finally, we have Mr. Sholm. Sholm, you're up, sir. You're muted. Still muted. Wonder if I can unmute you. Nope, I can't unmute you. So yeah, you're muted on your end.
Okay.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Gotcha.
All right. So I'm Sholm with the Skewed View 3D. It's a 3D print business. Actually, I run with my boys. We have a YouTube channel. You can find us on Twitter or YouTube at Skewed View 3D. This year, we decided to do 3 new designs a week, print and post the videos up. We finished that a couple months back, so my big dumb butt talked some more smack and got us hooked for 200 for the year. We just finished the year with 202 designs for the year, so we made that quota too.
Very nice. That's quite the quota, because those are unique designs. Like, you guys designed it and printed it, right?
Yep, stuff that you know, based on TV shows, cartoons, movies, video games. I loved as a kid. Stuff my kids love.
See, that's pretty awesome. That's like a level above Jeff and his 3D.
Actually, Jeff was kind of the inspiration last year. I mean, he printed 1 design a day. from Thingiverse, and that takes a lot to do. And we're like, you know what? Let's take it to the next level. Let's design it. I don't think we're going to do 1 a day, but let's try 3 a week, and we started there. And then next year, we're going to do a whole bunch of projects, and a bunch of we'll be taking the prop size, what we did this year, and functionality on some of the RC stuff and other things we got going on. A lot of collaborations coming up.
Awesome. Matt, are you there yet, or are you just gonna hide in the background? Or
He is stalking you.
he is. He's stalking me, and he's logged in as the 3D printing community hangout, so it's like I'm here twice. Oh, anyway, okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. 2018. I didn't say 2008 this time. Let's see. We had a whole bunch of great things happen. We had great products released into the wild. We had some not so great things happening, and we'll get to all of those. First, I want to start off kind of by talking about the events of 2018 as far as meetups and events. So like MRF, ERF, and the various maker fairs. So I know some of us were at MRF. I was Nick and Lauren, Chris. I think maybe, were we it at that time? Or Walter,
No,
were you there?
I was there.
Okay, that's right.
Chris was at Murph, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Chris was there.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Sean, were
How
you
you
at
gonna
MRF?
forget Walter? No,
He's
he did
Walter.
Couldn't
He's got-
afford 2 big shows in the same year.
He just pushed past me when he went to steal the Star-Lord mask and go dance around with it on his head.
I tell you what, Walter, with you relaxing that chair and the stockings behind you, you should have a little kid on your knee.
Yeah. That's the only reason why I forget Walter's, because his beard is nicer than mine.
Whatever. Well,
It's
you know,
true.
I have to say, Joe Mike, I keep mine away from dog poop.
Well, I just finally got some proper beard wash, so I'll just wash it out. Yeah, no, I remember, Walter, you were there with your 3D printer with the 3D printed extrusions, and you were over by the printed solid table.
That's correct.
Yep.
Yes, I do remember that. Okay, so general takeaway from Murph, we saw some really cool things there. I think one of the main things which we can touch on more when we get to the products and stuff was like E3D showing off for the first time in public their tool change system. That was huge. We had a lot of representation from our friends and community members from across the pond. So Olson Ruby was there. The guys from Swiss Gear were there. Not Swiss Gear. Micro Swiss were there. Yeah. And just, Daniel was there. Aston was there. So it was just an awesome meetup. Oh, and Tom was there. How can I forget?
Tom was there, yeah. How'd you get Tom?
Freaking Tom was there, which, got to meet Tom a lot shorter in person than I was thinking. But anyway, so that was fun.
Flea bath.
Do what?
No, Tom Llama asked if it was a flea bath. I was just letting him know it's winter time, so you didn't need the flea bath.
No, flea baths don't come until springtime. Although,
As you're itching, though, that was just great timing.
Well, I'm just because I'm hairy. I mean, let's
That's probably
face
why
it.
I asked if it was a flea bath.
Yeah, I mean, the really stinking thing about my body is that it's like Chewbacca level hair up until about here, and then nothing. And I seriously don't shave this. It just is like this. I just have a sleeve of hair.
It's the t-shirts.
It must be the t-shirts. I do
And
rock
Greg,
the
you
t-shirt.
should ask your wife why she's not watching.
Who?
I'm sorry, I'm just keeping up with the chat a little bit.
Whose wife isn't watching?
Minnesota Maker said his girlfriend asked why he was watching a guy in the tub.
Because why not? I mean, obviously.
Why is she not watching?
Yeah. So one of the big things about Murph that I walked away with was meeting Tom for the first time, meeting the guys from Olson, and just generally the E3D presence there was fun as well. Other than the freaking amazing turnout from the community of makers and rappers and the amazing projects they had going. What about you guys? For those of you who were at Murph, I mean, what do you remember?
Yeah,
It was packed.
I think my favorite person to meet was Luby.
Oh yeah, Luby was there. That was crazy.
That was.
It was one of those like when I saw her walking around, it's like that. Is it? Is it not? Is it?
That's exactly the way I felt.
Yeah.
Then I went and got my dragon, and I'm like, here, you have to sign this. Please sign this.
Yeah.
Everybody was getting Daniel to sign Benchies, and I'm like, I got to get my Adelinda signed.
Yeah, it was really crazy because, you're sitting there like scratching your head. Tom is super recognizable, but she's more kind of not necessarily reclusive, but there's less, media of her out there. So all we had to really go off of was like a profile pic. And, I was like, is that the designer of designers? I mean, is that, our Da Vinci? But yeah, that was really cool that she was able to make it too. And she's actually British, but lives in the U.S., which is interesting. So.
She lives in Texas, I believe.
Yeah, of all the places.
Right.
What else? What else?
I thought
the first ever open RC races.
Yes. So one thing that came up to the build up to Murph was a lot of open RC stuff was happening, and we kind of pushed in the right direction and said, hey, let's do an open RC World Cup, I believe is what we called it, the World Cup.
Yep.
And Matter Hackers stepped up and took, the whole thing was like, okay, let's do this. Let's do the World Cup. And sure enough, out in a horse barn while it was raining.
And beyond windy.
And nasty, the first ever Open RC World Cup occurred. And there was hilarity and just great things that happened. I think the person who won
in the videos.
Yeah. I brought my drone for filming aerial shots. That just didn't happen because of the rain. But it's really funny because I think the person who won the Open RC race was pretty much the only one who really finished the Open RC race. No one else really.
That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah, it was really fun. But yeah, it was really neat that Daniel got to be there for that, and he was able to hand out the trophy for the winner of the first Open RC World Cup, and hopefully we'll see that again. Chris, what was your takeaway from Murph other than your sweet Daft Punk helmet?
No, that was your takeaway. You took it away from me.
I did.
Well, you bring that up. The dance with you and R2, that's just classic. But the races were one thing that was in my mind, and then Joel's just giant Open RC build. That was really, really cool to see. Having built it and having one hang on my wall, and then the magnitude of that there in the flesh, man, that was impressive.
Yeah, and again, having Daniel there and him being able to shoot the assembly video with Daniel helping him, and I think that was it. In bringing up Murph 2019, Daniel already said, I'm not going to be able to make 2019, which has me bummed. So I'm pretty sure that we need to pull together and get Daniel to Murph somehow. So we can talk about that off camera. Anyway, so Murph 2018, biggest Murph yet. And it was fantastic, even with the weather being nasty and even with, it being in Goshen, Indiana still. Well, I still love the Culvers in Goshen, Indiana. All in all, great time, fun time. My buddy Anthony got to go for the first time. Biggest one yet. we'll have to see what happens for 2019. I know there was a little bit of a mix-up there at the beginning. So 2019 is still one of those things that we'll kind of wait and see how that one shakes out. But there's now more than one option, which is primarily why Mr. Chris and Nick and Miss Lauren join us today on the stream tonight. And that is 2018 brought the first inaugural Earth East
Loved
Coast
it.
Rep Festival. Now, I unfortunately was not unable to attend that one, and I'm really bummed. Although they were very, very kind enough to send me lanyards and swag, which I very appreciated. If you can hear that, that's not me. That's the jet draining. The tub is literally draining around me because I'm about to get out of here. So yeah, that was like the first inaugural Earth East Coast Rep Festival. You guys kind of just pulled it out of a hat, as it seems. I know a ton of work went into it. I can't even imagine the amount of work that went into it on your all's behalf. But to everyone else, it was kind of like this. Oh my gosh, here's another one. Let's do this again. Let's do Murph, but on the east side, and let's change it up just enough to make it its own unique thing. And one of the cool things that I think about, again, not being there, I can't say for certain, but the idea of having the Pinewood Derby was awesome. So, yeah. But anyway, Chris, Lauren, and Nick, I know you have some stuff that you want to talk to about Earth 2019. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what's going to happen. I am going to get out of the tub. So
I was going to say, is the Earth announcement about to get a bump? I'm not sure about the size of the bump.
We don't need to see that bump.
No. So I am pruned and thoroughly relaxed, and at this point I need to get out of the tub, which means I need to mute my camera, dry off, mute the mic. So I'm going to let you guys take the reins and talk about Earth 2018 and Earth 2019. And for all of you who were at Earth 2018, I want you guys to talk about it. I mean, let the people in the chat see it through your eyes as not only people who attended, but people who actually had the chance to put this thing on. Because not a lot of us get a chance to have hands-on with the day-to-day operation of Murph, but there's 3 people in this chat that have had hands-on with not only planning but running one of these events. So talk about 2018, then go into the 2019 plan. And while you do that, I am going to stand up and dry off and go.
Does anybody else want to see Joe Mike when he comes back on camera in like a Hugh Hefner type smoking jacket, just like sitting on a chair with a pipe? I mean, that's exactly how I imagine him coming.
I hope that's not like a dream you had, Nick.
Nick,
shit, that was a reality at Earth.
I kid you not. It's going to be close to that, so just stay tuned.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All I know is you guys kicked much butt setting up Earth. We are definitely Earth loyalists. Loved it. Going to be there next year. Had 4 tables this year. Want 6 next year. It's definitely a place to be, in my opinion.
Thank you.
We appreciate that. Thank you. Chris, I'm going to let you, I do enough talking. I'm going to let you do some talking.
Oh, well, so Earth 18 was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, as has been pointed out, but it was a lot of fun, very, very much worth it. I think all 4 of us had some nights where we didn't get very much sleep, pulling some things together, making some magic happen, as the sayings go. But it was a good event. I think we're quote unquote on the map. People know that we're here. There were some cool things that happened at the show. And I think I might be missing one, but 3D Gloop made its premiere as a product. Budman Industries introduced their Buildini printer. IC3D was rolling out PET-G. I want to say I'm missing another product or
the mosquito. Did Slice like no Slice? Slice was at Murph.
Yep, Slice was at Murph, correct.
I mean, the rep box was shown there.
The rep box was shown there.
And that was brand new.
So you know, that to me is, you know, kind of cool stuff. And when I go out to Murph and you know, shows like this in general, like, you know, when I used to go out to the car show all the time, I'd want to go out and see that something new that, you know, I remember in the car shows, they did some custom cars and you saw some like R&D cars sometimes, not just what was on the lots. And that's what I go to those shows for, to see something new, see something different. That's what Murph is, you know, it shows you something new, something different. And I'm glad to see that I think Earth provided that too, because we got to see some new products, we got to see some new faces, some familiar faces, and looking to, you know, grow it from there. Nick, I'm going to make you talk now.
I was going to say, I think you know, one of the things that I'm proudest about from Murph, you're absolutely right. There was a lot of work that went, Murph, thank you. There's a lot of work that went into it. For those who are in the Hangout or who are in the chat or who are watching and had an opportunity to attend Earth, the behind-the-scenes stuff that you guys didn't see were kind of the weekly phone calls that were happening from, oh God, February.
No.
Well, it started in August. We started with weekly phone calls in August right up until about November, and then we went bi-weekly from November until about March, and then we got right back to weekly phone calls. So our Wednesday nights were Chris, Vicky, Lauren, and myself, you know, on a go-to meeting, you know, discussing different aspects of what was going on for an hour and a half, just to get things planned. And then the behind-the-scenes stuff where it was Chris did a lot of work, tons of work, getting people to getting sponsors for the show. Did a lot of work getting the arena set up. Lauren was doing a ton of work on the website and the designs. Vicky was doing a ton of work. I was letting everybody else do the work and just taking credit for it later. So yeah, well, I mean, hey, every group has one. Everybody remembers high school. You got into a group. Somebody did all the work. Somebody slacked off. I just happened to be really good at the slack.
I was in the slacker group.
Say, but I mean, one of the things I'm most proud of is the tremendous feedback we got after the event. I'm so proud of getting 700 people through the first year that we did the event. And I want to say there was, and you know, people have different ideas or different definitions of major, but there were no major gaps in the event. It wasn't so packed you couldn't walk. It wasn't, I mean, I think it ran.
Minor issues,
there were minor things. There were minor things. You know, I would have liked to have more people at tables. So show them if you could have had like 14 tables. That would have been great. That would have taken up like a whole row. We would have been okay.
We'll take 6 next year.
It was definitely an experience. I think for all 4 of us, it was a huge learning experience of how to actually run an event like this, because none of us had any idea what we were doing. You know, it's literally like planning a wedding.
Yeah. But you actually want 700 people to be happy at this one. So
you guys were great the whole step of the way, beforehand, afterhand, during.
Cool.
It was a lot of fun to play with. Sure.
Mr. Microphone. Yeah, we're gonna work on changing that up this year. You got me all show long.
You're gonna change it up so you're not gonna be cool next year?
Oh no. The coolness factor stays. I'm just not gonna be on the microphone the entire time.
Okay. Just making sure.
Or I'm gonna get a headset or mobile mic so that I can see more of the event, because that is, I will say, that is the one thing that I wish I would have had more time to do. For myself, my big regret is I didn't get to see everything that I wanted to see. I didn't get to, I mean, show what did it take for me to be able to.
You were signing our box as we were packed up walking out the door.
You were walking out the door and I grabbed the
chart. Walking out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, hold on, wait, I forgot that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that wasn't it. I mean, I got to talk with Lauren. I got to talk with Chris a little bit after. I talked with Matt. I talked with people who were at the show who were like, "Oh, did you see this?" And I was like, "No, I think I was introducing Cole Hastings, gigantic 1200 by 1200 by 1200 printer and listening to him speak about it." So,
yeah, Matt,
I had a great
the other day having to put that doggone hangout thing together. Yeah, you guys missed a lot, but you did such a wonderful job. We can't thank you enough. It was awesome. Good job. Can't wait for next year.
Lauren, I'll give you an opportunity to a little bit to talk about your experience, or not.
No, go for it. I don't know where you're going with this.
I was just going to say what your experience you've been throwing in. I mean, I want to hear from people in the chat. I want to hear from people who attended as well, because I think looking through, I mean, Richard might be the only one who wasn't there, who's with us right now. Matt was there, Walter was there, Shom was there, John was there. I mean,
so I had a lot of fun. Like I said, it was definitely a learning experience coming from the side of making it happen and learning what that actually takes and what to do differently next year. But I really liked seeing all of the different people come together and show off their things, just like at Murph. It was nice to, I don't want to say duplicate, because you can't, it's never going to be a duplicate, but I liked being able to recreate that and see people join in. And then also the 3D printed derby was amazing.
Yeah.
I was a little apprehensive about it. Came to us with the idea of it, but I think it turned out awesome, and I can't wait to see next year's.
There were some cool cars entered in that. We're definitely going to enter next year.
You know what I was just thinking of? One of the things that maybe best kind of exemplifies the whole kind of Earth first year was what happened with E3D not being able to get their stuff through customs and all that getting lost, and putting a call out to the community to just have the community bring things that have been created with their products and display it at their booth. It was just phenomenal to actually see that.
Yeah, it was really awesome. It was nice to see the community come together.
Next to my family and my church, this is the best community I've ever been a part of.
True story.
I would agree with that.
Called me, and the voicemail she left me, it was clear that she was in a stone cold panic. She's like, "Chris, we have boxes, but they're not coming through. We have no idea what we're doing. We're going to make a couple of calls and hope for the best." And yeah, that was really cool to see people come together, bring stuff. Consumers went and brought the company that they've been buying stuff from stuff to set up their booth with. That was cool. That was definitely cool.
What do you get there, Joe?
That
there we go.
Oh, he's dressed. Check him out. Piping off.
Right.
I didn't mean to, take away from that, Sean.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought this was a 3D printing hangout, not Masterpiece Theater.
What's up, John?
I just wanted to make sure that we got in a couple of the people who came in. I'm officially out of the bath, obviously, relaxing or continuing to relax while not smoking a pipe in the house because my wife would kill me, and enjoying a lovely glass of grape juice.
Yeah, that's what I'm enjoying, grape juice with a little bit of rum and Coke.
This is literally just grape juice.
Yeah, no, I'm not drinking grape juice either.
Sorry, so I have been listening to the conversation.
Yeah, you gave it a great time, Joe Mike, because I think we're going to kind of move to Earth 2019 at this point.
Let's do it.
Oh, right.
I'm so excited.
And you just can't hide it?
I can't hide it. I'm so excited.
So do you want to talk about it then?
I lose myself.
I can announce the date.
Go for it.
We are looking at October 11th, 12th, and 13th.
That's it. Oh, I was waiting for the mistake.
So October 11th will be the setup date, just like it was this previous year, which is the Friday. And then October 12th and 13th, 2019. Same place, which I always get the name wrong, so go for it.
Aberdeen's Proving Ground Federal Credit Union Arena.
That place. It's going to be amazing. I hope everybody can make it.
We will definitely be there.
You
I'll
know,
do my best to
This
make
year
it this
it
year.
took 21 hours to get there with traffic and everything else. It was horrid.
the only complaint I have about your selection of dates is I got to wait 4 months longer.
I know. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What was the date again?
October 11th is set up. 12th and 13th is the event. It's Columbus Day weekend, actually.
Indeed. Okay.
I really want to hear it indubitably.
Elementary, my dear good Joe Mike.
Yes. Indubitably.
Yeah,
Stocks and bonds. Stocks and bonds. Stocks and bonds.
I'm sorry, does anybody else, now you're saying stocks and bonds, does anybody else imagine Joe Mike walking over to one of those old-fashioned bubble ticker tape things and just pulling it out?
The market is up, good chap.
See now.
So, Earth 2019 is in the book, or not in the books. It's on the books.
On the
So
books.
We have an official date. We have an official location.
On the calendar.
What'd you say?
Yep. It's on the calendar.
On the calendar. So, anything else you can tell us about Earth 2019 coming up?
I believe it's going to be a rerun of the second annual 3D printed Pinewood Derby, although I don't know if you can call it a Pinewood Derby if you're 3D printing.
It's 3D
Okay, the
printed
3D
derby.
printed Derby then.
There's no pine wood involved.
I'm under the belief that we're going to do a speaking stage again, so we'll work to get people there. We're trying to get more vendors, and based on input from last year, people who were showing up for the first time who had never been to an event like Murph, starting to see that they could have their own table and kind of show off what they're looking at. I'm thinking we're probably going to be a little bit more full as far as tables this year, which will be nice. We're ideas, maybe having a maker's corner kind of thing where we personalities who show up at a scheduled speaking times or slotted times where they can interact with the community, and then be able to experience maybe some of the show on their own, because you talk to people who have their channels, the bigger channels, it's hard for them at Murph to walk around and not get mobbed by kind of everybody who's there. And while they love it, they miss some things too. So
they miss everything probably by being mobbed like that.
For sure.
Yeah. So
that's a
couple
good
of ideas.
You could do like could call it an AM derby, additive manufacturing derby.
Dave said he's going to make it the Pinewood Derby. He's going to use Protopasta's Christmas tree filament. So technically,
wood fill, love it.
Well, what wasn't that needles? That was pine needles, not pine wood. I'm not sure.
Still, it's from a pine tree.
See, it's the camera angle. It makes you think Matt had a haircut. It's really not, though.
It's the closest we've got. So
we'll let it roll.
Let it. I got it. Let it roll.
I'm not usually good at that.
Here, Mike, most important question about Earth 2019 that only you can answer. Are you going to make it this year?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
So let's see. That's October. I'm going to try. I'm going to do my best. So I'm going to try to make it to Murph and Earth.
This year.
Well, here's the thing about
it's a deep subject.
Here's the thing about this year and last year that are very similar, and that is hi, that's my face. I need to break
that again.
I need to put a pillow on my. Hi, welcome to my home.
Howdy. Thank you for inviting us.
Sorry, my my laptop's getting incredibly hot.
It really is.
So here's the thing. So last year I started a new job and only had limited vacation, and I am about to start another new job at the beginning of the year. So we'll see where vacation is, and as far as how much vacation I utilize. Do what?
By October, you should be good.
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. Because I guess that's only a couple, maybe one day. That's a Friday. So,
you get this day off for your new or for your new job, then all you're taking is Friday.
Thursday's Columbus Day?
Monday would be Columbus Day.
Monday's Columbus. What's Thursday?
Thursday. Day before Friday. After
Well, I mean, depending on when you fly out. Setting up, you can fly out on Friday and just attend the event Saturday, Sunday.
I thought you were talking like as if
yeah.
Thursday was a holiday that I would get off.
Actually, the setup's not until late.
Right.
But anyway,
your checks now.
So yeah, I'm gonna try to make it. I mean, with the not as I've actually got the baby here now. The baby's here now, and new job. I'll do my best to make it. So I really want to be there because I want to check it out, and I want to visit the East Coast. I already went over to the West Coast, so need to come over to the East Coast and hop up to Prince Solid and annoy Dave and Matt. So if it's okay with you guys, I want to break real quick and just say hello and let the two gentlemen who, one of them finally decided to show his ugly mug, and then the other one who popped in here. So Matt, you go first.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt from How I Do It. Sorry for the delay getting here. I was working on fixing my shower, which wasn't really planned. I cleaned it and all of a sudden it started dripping. So that was the reason I was delayed, but sort of present. Anyhow, you can find me youtube.com/howiddoit and on Twitter @CountryCowboy. Everywhere else, I'm Matthew Flinchball. Facebook, Instagram, all those. And I organize the Friday night hangouts. Make sure they happen every week.
Yep, and here's the end of a complete year of Friday night hangouts. So well done, Matthew. Thank you for all your hard work and dedication to keeping the stream going and keeping us, motivated, on task, and all that stuff. So.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Coming up on 2 years.
Yeah. So, okay, so that goes to John / you do it.
Hey, this is John. You do it. Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate everything that the 3D printing community has done for all of us. Like Shom said, this community is like none other. The amount of support. I mean, just look at the giving, the willingness to give to various causes to help out others in the community is just, I mean, it brings a tear to my eye. Just totally amazing.
And we'll be talking about that a little bit later as well. So,
and so we're at the end of the year, and it's the Murph and the Earth thing, just really awesome. I think Earth may conflict with Vid Summit next year, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make Earth, but I'm definitely going to make Earth. Yeah, I think Vid Summit is that thing that I definitely got to go to, because I'm to the point now where I'm able to help other creators, and I'm leveraging a lot of that knowledge that I'm gaining by attending these events, and I definitely don't want to miss that event. But we could talk more about that later. Anybody who needs any guidance on how to grow themselves on social media, I'm to the point now where I can definitely help and consult you. So that's it. Thanks for having me on.
Nice stash and stuff there, John.
hey, Matthew.
Yeah.
You have access to that Google Doc?
I do. Give me one moment and I'll pull it up.
Okay. Could I convince you to take over hosting?
Oh, sure. Now you want to pawn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me.
He's got to change into his next outfit for the night.
Next scene. We're going to see one room of Mike's house at a time.
I've got some daddy duty I've got to do, so I'm going to hop over and do some daddy duty. And I'll be
duty. I'm going to race like a piss horse. I'll be right back.
So,
Joe,
Matt,
I was kind of following along. I know you got Murph. I know you got Earth. What else?
You can talk about maker fairs if you want to, but just follow down the list and you're good.
Okay. Just wanted to see what all we covered so far.
Right.
Yeah, give me a minute. I'll pull that up and I can take over.
Okay. Talks amongst yourselves.
Anybody have Walter, Shom, you guys were at, and John, you guys were all at Earth, and Murph both. Do you guys have anything to add to the, let's say, what you guys like the most about the shows?
I want to talk about the stuff that Shom's been doing. Like, so you know, we met up at these events, and you know, Shom is just an awesome guy. But then seeing all the stuff that they're creating since those events, and seeing the collaborations that he's doing with other YouTubers, where they're you know, casting his works. I mean, that's just amazing. How many models a week are they creating? Three models a week. I mean, that's a large task. I think he's got a gold mine of knowledge there. That you know, the whole modeling, how they create the models and everything. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and they took up how many tables was it, Nick? Was it 3 tables or 4 tables at Earth?
4. They had 4 tables at Earth.
And it's not like they had their stuff widely spread out either. And that was early, halfway through the year. There, Sean is back. Sean, how far were you guys into your 3 designs a week project when Earth came around?
Oh, when Earth came around?
Yeah, that was about halfway, right?
Yeah, I don't even think we were quite halfway. I think we were about 156. I think we were about 85 models in, maybe.
Yeah, and they had everything on the table.
Guesstimate. Yeah. I don't know. We passed the 156. That's 3 a week. We passed that like a month and a half ago.
Okay.
And then I had a tasty beverage stream and ran my mouth and said, "We'll do 200."
While you were away, John was
2 people.
While you were away, John was complimenting the whole project and the fact that you guys succeeded at that project.
We're gonna do it no matter what. Believe that.
Yeah, I brought that up, Sean, because it's first, it's admirable, right, that you go through all that effort, but there's something to be said about quantity over quality. So the more you create something, the more of a master you become at it. Instead of trying to take that one piece and try to master that one piece, and you never get the piece out because you're so concerned about the perfection of that piece. And now you've produced all these models, and I was telling like Ricky and them and the other the morning live streams. I joined them a couple times, and I'm like, you know what? He can definitely create a course on all the knowledge that you have on how to create a model. You can have how to create this sword, how to create a hammer, how to create a shield, and they're just basic things. And you can do it for free on Kajabi. So you got a lot of knowledge there you can share with others.
I'm not sure what Kajabi is, but
it's an online course platform for somebody to pay for taking your course on how to do something and model in whatever program you're using.
Well, I do know in 2019, now I've done a lot of streams, but they were just tasty beverage, hang out while I work on the back porch streams, so I deleted them, obviously. But coming up next year, we're going to have official Skewed View 3D streams. Me and the boys are going to sit down while we're designing something and talk and answer questions and stuff, maybe bi-weekly. Probably coming out first the week after next, if not the end of next week. We'll see where that goes. As far as everything else, I can definitely tell just our progress, where we started. I mean, our first design was the He-Man sword, something I loved as a kid, had to have it. And it come from there to where we ended up with like Dead Island, whatever, Buzzsaw, and it is pretty amazing. And Jason, I mean, halfway through the year, we got at Earth. He kind of wanted to get involved. He got tired of sitting on the sidelines. He's like, I want to do it. He self-taught himself fusion in the last 4 or 5 months. And to see some of the stuff he's done, it is pretty amazing. And I am looking forward to next year. We're not locked down on 3 designs a week, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but it was a little stressful from time to time. You know, having to put that out and having to get it by the end of the week, and just the whole having to crunch those numbers. And coming up this next year to just work on projects and stuff we want to do coming forward, and a lot of collaborations we've got in the works. I think it's going to be really good.
And over the project, you guys have learned, you and your kids have all learned more and more techniques to modeling. So now that you've completed that, now you actually have the time to be able to do bigger, more detailed, more involved models too. That you have the leisure.
Yeah, and we can also revisit some. As a perfect example, we did Maximilian from the black hole, like around Earth time. I don't remember if we had it at Earth or right after, somewhere in there. And it was kind of basic. It was still cool. It was recognizable. But then again, it was very basic. We put it up, and then we're in a collaboration right now with Happy Extruder and Uncle Jesse. And originally they were working with Broken Nerd, and he got too busy, got tied up with Test It. And so they reached out to us, and so we totally retweaked and redesigned it. And it is, in my opinion, it's 100% better than the original. And I can't wait to see what they're doing with printing it. And they're going to have Arduino in it, and the head's going to move and light up. And it should be really cool.
So there's something to be said about the collaborations. So, I mean, we know, I know I couldn't articulate it like a couple years ago. Now I can. The point of collaboration is really to expose the fan base of each to each other's, and it extends exposure beyond your fan base. Now, pretty much everybody in the 3D community, we all know each other, but there's people who view our stuff that aren't necessarily part of the 3D printing community. Like a friend of mine, Paul Peck Drywall. You may see him pop up on Twitter periodically. He's like, he's a nerd at heart, but he runs a drywall company. But he's like really interested in this stuff after I pointed out a couple things to him. And like you'll see him post he'll comment on 3D printed stuff on Instagram or in Twitter. So it's like really neat how you can pull the people in from those collaborations. So that's really good that you're doing that, Sean.
It is. We like to collaborate with anyone, everyone. We got collaborations going on right now with cosplayers and 3D printers and casters and a little bit of everything and anything.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the casting, man. I want to do that in the worst way. I got a lot of side hustle stuff going on right now, so I'm too busy for endeavoring that.
If you want to get something there, let us know you want us to design something. We got 3 different Illumitube. We have a permanent collaboration going with him.
Okay.
Art by Adrock, and there's another Veggie guy just reached out to us. Veggie guy and Art by Adrock are battling against each other with Big Casting, and they're all using our models, except for Big Casting, whose 3D printer he hasn't got functioning yet, who wants to use our models. And to see him battling it out using our designs,
that
just kicks much butt.
Yeah. Yep. That's
Not
good.
to mention they're sending us casted models for using our designs and stuff. So that is really good.
Wow. Yep.
So to wrap up the Earth stuff, Walter, what was your favorite thing at Earth? Earth and Mirth. Let's do both of them. I don't know if Walter can hear us. If you can, Walter, you're muted.
I'm sorry, what? He's talking to you guys. I'm sorry.
He's in the recliner. He's ready for nap time.
My wife was talking.
Murph and Earth, what was your favorite thing at the shows?
At Murph, I think my favorite thing was Tony Ryan's rail core with the 3 Z screws. The bed leveling that it does is just incredible. Matter of fact, I did my show about it yesterday. I mean, that's what I was talking about yesterday on my show is how much further can we actually go with FDM printing, and what's next. And I think the rail core pushes that envelope with the 0.02 millimeter layer height at 75 millimeters a second. That's incredible to me. And other things like Earth was a first year. And I think one of the biggest things I took away from that was for a first year event, that was probably one of the best run events I've ever seen. And that was thanks to Nick and Lauren and Chris and Vicky. Those guys did a great job. I mean, it ran so smooth. I mean, I got to walk around, I got to see folks, but I also got to stand and talk to folks. There was more, it was roomy. And I think even if they add exponentially more people this year, I still think that venue, there's enough room for quite a bit of growth. And I look forward to seeing what they're doing with it.
At Murph, you think there's more room?
No, you're getting me right in the field, Walter. Right in the fields.
Yeah. Don't take it that way. I'll say something here in a minute and take that away.
Oh, it's going to fill up this year. Believe that.
Sean, what about you?
Wait, the only thing that I didn't like about Earth was the drive there. I'm like Sean. It was a 16.5-hour drive, and it would have been 12 hours if it wasn't for the last 3 miles through Baltimore.
Just before me, then it took us 21 with the storm before and stuff. That traffic was awful.
I'll give you a tip when you're coming up the Walter. I know you said that was kind of like your biggest hang up of whether you'd come up next year for 2019 Earth or not. For anybody coming from the south, come around the east side of Baltimore, not the west side.
I'm going through a tunnel this time. Believe that.
Yeah, the west side is always horrible. There's like 3 different ways you can go, but it's always horrible.
Well, all that construction's got to be done by now.
Yeah, they just moved up the road a little further. That's all.
There's always construction here.
Let me lie to myself.
Yeah.
Another thing I enjoyed more, I think, at Earth was that I knew more people because, you know, Murph was only my second event ever. I met Shom and those guys at a mini maker fair in Gainesville. So that was the only show I'd ever been to. So Murph really opened my eyes as far as how much there was in the 3D printing community. And then at Earth, I actually got to take more advantage of that because I knew more of what to do and what to expect.
Yeah, at Murph, all I knew was you were the guy who gave my kids the whistles on the way home.
And you loved me for it.
To him. You were the guy he was cussing out all the way home.
I thought about him the entire way home.
But you know what? You remembered who I was.
I did.
You know, it's funny. Before I met Walter, we were heading up that Gainesville thing, and we're chatting back and forth. We stayed in the hotel rooms back to back. Didn't even realize it.
We were
like,
side by y'all think I'm kidding. It was side by side in the same hotel.
Hey, you want to get breakfast? Yeah. Where you at? I'm here. Where you at? I'm here.
Yeah, we're like, step outside. And we step outside, and we're side by side at the hotel.
No, Walter's definitely good people. Most thing I remember about Murph was Walter's videos. Hanging out and everything else and sitting at the tables. And yeah, it looked really crowded. I watched everybody else's videos, and it really looked jam-packed in there. I'm so glad Earth wasn't like that. I'm a firm believer in road rage. I don't like all that clustered sardine stuff.
Sean, what was your favorite thing about Earth?
It was a mini vacation. Never had one of those. No, it was great to see all the different stuff and different products. And I wish we could have been up towards the front with the people we knew, but we just had too much stuff. It was good though. Probably my favorite thing totally there. We shared almost the entire aisle with Chris Nuri's, and he came up behind Jason. I knew what he was going to do. He did his little, whoa. Jason almost peed himself, dude. I just wish I had it on camera. That was my absolute favorite thing from Earth.
All right. John, what about you? You got Murph and Earth. What was your favorite?
So about Earth, my favorite thing about Earth, or the favorite thing about both of them?
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I liked the Walter's printer, that the 3D printed printer, like that just took 3D printing to the extreme. And like when I explain that to people, that like, yeah, he 3D printed the extruded aluminum profile and then glued it together, and it was able to print these awesome pieces. And that just threw people for a loop. How much total was that cost, Walter, for the 3D printed printer?
For the cost of the one from Murph?
Yeah.
Man, I don't have no idea. I just printed until I got done.
Guesstimate.
Yeah, just give me.
You figure
too.
It probably took about 3 rolls of PLA because of mess ups, but
yeah, sure.
You know, it's not that big of a
PLA.
Yeah. So then, so the electronics kit isn't that expensive, right? And it wasn't a heated bed, right?
No, it was an ANET A8. I took everything off the ANET and put on there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I upped it to a mini Rambo board.
The only reason I ask is because people were asking me, and I couldn't give them a number.
Yeah, no, I mean, in its current configuration, John, right now, the way it sits, it's probably about $350.
Okay. But it's an engineering feat because, you know, you got to go through all that, and then you have to find a way to glue the pieces together and make sure it's structurally sound and all that. So
right.
that's why I like that. You know, being an engineer, I really like that design. In Earth, I like the whole setup of Earth. There was plenty of room. You know, the tables, the spacing of it was just perfect. There were a couple spots that were crowded. You know, the printed solid booth, you couldn't get to them just because they were swamped. So if I were to say if they could move down a little bit the next time to have a slightly different location, maybe a couple tables down, that might help them for the next event. But yeah, seeing how I wanted to get an interview of Dave and Matt, but I just couldn't because they were just so busy the whole time. And the willingness for interviews, I still have a lot of interviews I got to get out there. And for me, it was a lesson learned, and I'm still learning how to use my equipment because the second day for recording the audio was just garbage, and that's why I haven't taken the time to produce the videos yet for them. But the first day, the audio was fine because I had the digital recorder. But yeah, it's just an awesome.
I didn't even know you were trying to interview, John. I was just messing around with you while we were moving stuff around.
Yep.
Probably best it didn't air. I have a tendency to talk a little bit of smack.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I could bleep that out. Of course, the whole thing would be nothing but a bleep. But
I have to say, I appreciate John because without John's camera, I couldn't have live streamed the entire time that I was there.
Yeah, I always carry a webcam with me. I don't know why, but I'm just like I always keep it with me, like almost like where I can pull it out of my back pocket. Oh, you need a webcam? Here you go.
So as far as for me, this was my first year for that. Getting to hang out with everybody at the after party was probably the best part of it, and just getting to finally experience a 3D printing show rather than a Maker Faire related show where it was all in my interest. And with Earth, really the best part about it was everybody coming together to start something new out here on the East Coast that brings what Murph had, the experience at Murph, and the space that we got at Earth was awesome. Nick and Lauren, Vicky and Chris, you guys all did. You know from me, you guys did an amazing job with Earth. I couldn't be happier, couldn't be prouder to have been able to visit Earth and attend it. Of course, I mean, I got that logo back there from Earth, and There's some beginning talks of something for Earth 2019 for a community build, but I don't want to say too much yet until we have everything ironed out for it. It's not going to be a Friday night community build, but there may very well be another one coming for 2019. The coolest thing with Earth, though, was like afterwards, the dinner on Saturday for the exhibitors and sponsors, and just getting to sit down and actually talk with Walter and his wife, sitting and talking with Uncle Jesse and John. That, to me, is the coolest part about both of the two events, is just getting to hang out with everybody, getting to carry on, to have serious discussions. It builds the community more than what we've already got. And I think both shows do a very good job. Earth did an amazing job at just bringing the community together and building the community. So, yeah, I'm going for the Joel Telling here. No, I just forgot to grab my hat.
It's real close.
Does anybody have anything else for Earth, Murph, either one of those two shows? Nick and Lauren, do you guys have anything else for Earth 2019?
The hotel hangouts there afterwards.
The
I really liked.
Hey, I'll say this. We're definitely going to be looking for volunteers. Nick and Lauren kind of mentioned it. It was tough for the four of us actually to get to see the show for more than 30 seconds at a time as we're going down the aisle to do the next thing that we had to do. So we are going to be looking for more volunteers next year. If you think you're interested, please let us know. You can email us info@eastcoastrepfestival.com. And we're looking for anybody also that has some Pinewood Derby race experience from organizing and participation in organizing Pinewood Derby races with Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts. We could definitely use some extra help around that part of it as well. So that's it. Look forward to seeing everybody. Watch the website, watch the social media, and we'll get some more updates out there.
Oh, Chris, in what's that?
I said October 11th, 12th, and 13th, correct?
The 12th and 13th is the event. The 11th will be the setup day, but correct.
Go ahead, John.
Do this one time.
So, Chris, on when I went to Vid Summit, I was able to go because I volunteered, and it was actually a good learning experience for me because I worked with Loria Petrucci, David Foster. They're of live streaming pros and Geeks Life. Worked behind the scenes with a lot of the talent, miking them up and everything. They had a pretty good workflow in getting everybody to how they volunteered and what jobs they had. So they'd have a morning meeting and they'd have a meeting the night before for setup. So just give me a call and I can walk you through everything that they did and how they assigned people different volunteering roles. They also set up a Slack channel. So you brought in people on Slack and then you can manage everything that way, communications. So you didn't have to worry about phone calls and people not being able to participate. And then they did have a Zoom call. So I participated in a couple of Zoom calls with Daryl Eves and Loria trying to do the volunteering program.
All right. Let's move on. The next thing Joe Mike had on the list was Maker Faire, New York, Bay Area. And I know you guys were at one of the Florida ones. So unfortunately, I wasn't at any of them. Let's start with Bay Area. Nick and Lauren, you guys were out at Bay Area, correct?
Maybe not.
You guys are muted if you're trying to talk.
That would be the symbol with the X across it. I found that out the hard way.
Hold on. There we go. Hey. No, actually, we weren't out at Bay Area this year. We were in Paris this year during Bay Area.
We did go to New York.
We did go to New York.
All right. Was any of the panel at Bay Area this year?
I don't think so.
All right. Let's move on to New York Maker Faire. Chris, I know you were there. Nick and Lauren, you guys were at New York, correct?
Yep.
John, were you at New York?
I went the year before. I couldn't make it this year because I was going to Vid Summit.
All right. I guess I'll start with Chris since he's on the left on my panel. Chris, you want to tell us what you saw at New York Maker Faire?
I got to see a lot of people that I wanted to see. From a 3D printing perspective, it was pretty limited. It was only 3 or 4 OEMs that were there. Prusa was there. I Made 3D, Jellybox, Filamentum was there. I think there was a fourth. I can't remember who it is. I can never remember who the fourth was, but there are a couple of displays. We the Builders were there. Todd Blatt had a booth up. But there really wasn't a whole lot for 3D printing. That whole portion of it it shrunk from the year before, and it wasn't that much there the year before. So 3D printing is definitely hurting there. There are lots of other cool things to see. But yeah, 3D printing was on the downfall for certain at the Maker Faire.
All right. Nick and Lauren.
Yeah, I mean it was great seeing the people, but there wasn't a whole lot in the realm of 3D printing or showing 3D printing stuff off. There were people who were using 3D printing, selling 3D printed products.
Yeah, I really like the vacuum former, and I regret not buying it right then and there. Now it would make my life a lot easier had I bought it. But I thought it was really cool to see that. My favorite thing there, though, was the guy with the wrist fire flame thrower thing. Cool. That was really cool. I also loved watching some of the metalworking, but not a whole lot in terms of 3D printing was there.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool being able to talk to Joe Pruscia because he had just announced the SLA that morning.
Yeah.
So getting a chance to talk to him kind of right in the moment about that was great.
Hung out with Kayla over at Build Tech.
Hung out with Kayla from Build Tech.
That was nice. Yeah. It was nice to catch up with everybody, and the Matter Hackers event was fabulous.
Matter Hackers event was amazing.
It was Matter Hackers, right?
Yeah.
That was Matter Hackers.
Yeah.
Build Tech, that was the 4th OEM. Thank you.
Welcome to the chat, Chris.
What do you guys think as far as next year? Do you think you'll go next year?
I don't know if to be honest, and Lauren and I have talked about this, I don't know if we'll actually go to the event, but we'll probably end up going for after event and seeing people. Because it's getting, what is it, $85?
It wasn't cheap.
It's.
I mean, if we were to have bought the tickets earlier, they would have been cheaper, and then I could justify it. But because I wasn't doing any press, to me, it wasn't worth the price.
Yeah, I think it was $75 a ticket. You paid $40 for parking. So for the two of us, it's $190 to get in for a day, and they've got 4 OEMs for 3D printing.
Right.
I mean, and we saw everybody later that afternoon, that night anyway. So
you're thinking maybe make a trip to New York next year to see the city, see the attractions, and then the benefit of Thursday night and Saturday night going to the meetup.
Exactly.
Yeah. Kind of the thought process.
Yeah. Chris, what about you?
If I went, it would probably skip the show and just be there for Saturday night. The event is cool. There's a whole bunch of stuff there, but the stuff that I want to see is the 3D printing stuff, and even the electronics tent. Even like the year prior, the electronics tent, you could barely walk through that thing. Never had any issue doing that this year. That tent was even, and Nick, we talked about it. It was maybe 50% of what it was in
Wow, they were crammed in there.
vendors and whatnot.
Yeah, the electronics tent was packed.
Yeah, last Sunday, I remember watching tent with Czech Hellebuck on Sunday, and he and I were having a hard time getting through there, looking at the different things. This year, Lauren and I walked through, and it was pretty much clear sailing. There was no issue. I mean, you could walk up to just about any booth without a problem, and it was about half as full as it was. It was easier to walk through, and there was less that was there. So,
All right. Any other events through the year that anybody attended that they want to talk about? Hey, Joe Mike's back. You want to take back over, Joe Mike?
If you want me to.
Sure. We finally got through New York and Bay Area, and now we're just on to the other events.
Okay.
I think we're gonna bow out. We've got two dogs that are just
Very
not
restless.
settling down.
The
So
puppy wants to play.
yeah, the puppy wants to play.
Tell you what, before you guys go, Lauren, you've got some new stuff on your Etsy shop or coming to your Etsy shop. I think it's already there now.
The shop is currently on vacation mode because I'm taking a much needed break. But there will be a lot coming the second to third week.
Hey,
Morgan.
our point.
Of January. So I will have a lot more new stuff and fun stuff in January. You can check my Instagram account. It keeps people fully up to date on everything.
She's got something she shouldn't have. I don't know what it is, but she's got something she shouldn't have.
That's usually
Puppies are fun.
Nick, do you want to do an outro?
That's all? Okay, perfect.
I think they're ready for kids.
Couldn't be any more ready.
I don't think they are.
Puppies in the house. Your kid would be running around with a fire extinguisher in one hand and a butcher knife in the other. It'd be great.
This room is normally off limits for the puppies, but because they wouldn't settle down, we let them in here.
It was a mistake. Did she grab the ink cartridge again?
No,
Why is that kid on the escalator again?
I got that reference.
Yes.
Nice. All right.
All right, guys, we're going to sign off so that we can take care of some restless dogs. Thank you guys for having us on. We enjoy it as always. We'll have to be more part of these coming up here.
All right.
Great stuff.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
See you next year.
See you guys. One second. Okay. So, do you want me to go ahead and take the reins back?
Yep, go for it. Sorry.
Hold on, Joe Mike. I'm gonna follow Nick and Lauren. I'm gonna get the hell out of here too.
Yeah, Santa Claus is tired.
East Coasters.
Christmas.
Well, Joe Mike came back.
Great year.
Joe Mike
Well-
came back. He's not as pretty as he was a while ago.
Hold on. Hold on.
I was thinking
Got better?
fresh now. There
That
you
is
go.
better, but I still got to go.
Okay. Well, you did have
Have a good night,
a
Walter.
very
Have a
long.
good year.
All right, guys. Y'all take care. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to all of y'all.
Happy New Year, Walter. Okay.
All
So,
yours, Joe Mike.
thank you, sir. Let's get back to it. Okay, so we've talked about, events and the community a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the products that we saw that came into our ecosystem in 2018. I think we already touched on a good number of them kind of loosely, talking about Murph and Earth and the various reveals. We talked about the E3D changer. We talked about various printers being released. We talked about Prusa's SLA printer. So general impressions as far as what 2018 brought us as far as new technology. We saw a lot of multicolor / multi-material revamping. The multi-material unit 2 unit finally started shipping, and we saw the results of that. And the palette 2 is now shipped and out in the wild, and we're seeing the results of that. So given the E3D tool changer, given, the pallets, the MMU2, given the rail core that we've seen recently, I mean, do you think that we are still, developing at an exponential pace like we were, or are we developing quicker now? Are we taking the proper steps to stay, progressive with this technology?
We are not Star Trek yet.
I think we've taken a path on, starting to develop the niche areas like the multi-material. Not everybody who gets a 3D printer is really interested in multi-material, but there is that category. And now I think this year we haven't seen a lot yet from the Palette 2 or the MMU2, but from what we're seeing, it's taken that next step. Last year when the multi-material stuff started to come out from Prusa and from Palette, we saw some neat things being done with it, but it was really finicky. And from what I'm hearing from a lot of people so far, the systems have gotten better. So that category has started to develop a little bit more.
Yeah.
As far as FDM goes, I think it's a lot of iterations. We're not seeing, with the exception of like the rail core, we're not seeing a lot of huge speed increases or anything like that with FDM. SLA, we're seeing more variety coming out, but they all seem, in my opinion, from what I've seen of reviews and stuff, because I really haven't seen any firsthand, I think they're still slowly adding variety, and we'll probably see more advancements, I would say, in that technology. We're hearing about the Moai with larger format for resin. I think that's kind of the next step for resin, although I also understand the side of, if you want to go big, you go FDM. If you want to go small and high detail, you go resin.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take on where we're at with the evolution of things.
Yeah, not to get into like the whole FDM versus resin debate. I mean, I've got both. I love both, and they each have their place. I think FDM might still hold a little bit more of an attraction to the average consumer, just because of the not necessarily simplicity, but the lack of overhead that's needed. So with resin printing, you've got, number one, resin. You've got to worry about safety with lasers if you're using a UV form of it. You've got to worry about washing and curing. So there's just a lot that goes into resin printing. I mean, the results obviously are worth the work, but the price point, one, is really high, and the general amount of work involved, I think we're still going to see more people come into the FDM space. And I'd like to see the FDM space continue in the direction that it's going, improving the mechanism that we are currently using. So I think Railcore is in, that next level. So we've had the traditional, style of Cartesian. We saw, Delta come into play, which gave us something pretty to look at. And, there's a handful of Deltas out there that print beautifully, but you have a definite volume disadvantage with a Delta, unless you go really, really big, and then you've got a huge printer on your hands. And then you've got, your hypercubes, your Core XYs that were improving on the motion systems. And now we've got this rail core. And I feel like we went from developing like this to developing like this. So we took this huge giant leap, and now we're kind of creeping when it comes to FDM, but we're still, I think, progressing in my opinion.
I think with FDM this year was price. We've hit the decent low cost printers.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest acceleration FDM saw this year.
So yeah, absolutely, Creality coming on the scene with the CR10 and the Ender series. I mean, that obviously made the point of entry price more attractive to the average Joe. So it's that I love that, first off, because it builds our community. But at the same time, I'm also conscious of certain other things that come into the mix when you start getting lower cost hardware in the mix as well. So we can talk about that here in a little bit. But I mean, we just touch, we had the open source debacle with Creality. We have fire safety issues with not only, underrated, cheap electrical systems, but also firmware safety mechanisms not being in place. All these things that need to just be implemented and changed and refined. But, by doing that, do we increase the price point? And then we lose that low price point with the good printing printers? I mean, I think we can keep a lower price point and improve the printer's real safety. I mean, obviously, it's no good to have a sweet printing printer if it burns your house down. It's not going to be able to print your new house. But that being said, I think you're absolutely right, Matt. The influx of these Chinese kits that are actually quality printing kits. They're not just Prusa clones. There's something more unique. So we're seeing extrusion kits built off the aluminum extrusion base, like the CR10, the Ender, TiVo's coming out with their various clones, and everyone's cloning everybody. So, yeah, I totally agree with that. That's awesome thing this year.
What about everybody else?
Oh no, I agree. There's products like the Palette 2 and the MMU2, they're maturing. The first ones really did look experimental. I never dealt with one, but I have the MMU2 sitting behind me. One of the drawbacks with it is I realized I need more space for my printer, and so I'm working on getting one of those nice little boxes from Repcord so I can hang the filament up. Then I'll get it all together. But you see, for the multi-material, not only is the hardware maturing, the software to use it is maturing. Some of the stuff that goes on with the Palette 2, being able to take an existing piece and sort of paint on the colors that you want for it, an incredible way to work with the software. So that's a great addition. Yes, the SLA printing, there's a lot more to it. It's not print and play. You do have work to do. You have to look after the resins. You have to get the resins. And one of the things from 2018 was Canada Customs held one of my bottles of resin for 6 months because they thought I was getting drugs from Hong Kong. But eventually I did get it and can use it. But,
the resin or your drugs from Hong Kong?
Yeah. But actually, it's not just Canada Customs, because I've talked to some folks in the States that have had the same thing. And it all depends on who's looked at your stuff coming through on that day or what have you. One shipment you get no problems. Next one, it's no end of grief to get the stuff through if you're ordering direct from these companies. But the other things going on, more and more people know about 3D printing. They don't understand it, but you do run into more people that if you say 3D printing, you don't get a blank in their face. You still have to explain to folks what it's doing. People still have in mind that, you can just take a picture of something and then you can get a 3D print of it. Gee, if I take a picture of this, will you print that for me? Well, no, it doesn't work like that. But so we have a lot of training to do in the public. And with our last show, or a couple of shows ago, we talked about how industry is viewing it, and middle-sized, small, and small sounds like it's the same story. For companies that aren't directly involved with 3D printing, they're sort of getting the idea you can do something neat with it, but they don't understand how it works. So that's another area to watch us go through with the next year. But yeah, watching products mature, just reading an article of the university, I don't know if it'll apply to our level of FDM printing, but this university has come up with an algorithm which can greatly increase the speed of printing because it limits the vibrations caused by the motion of the stepper motors. So even if that one doesn't directly impact us, there's probably other things like that coming down the pipeline. So looking forward to seeing that.
You have chain mail on your chair behind you?
What was that? I didn't hear that.
Yeah, is that chain mail on your chair behind you?
Oh yeah, that's my lady. That's one of my other things is you put on a disc or what have you and knit chainmail. So I haven't done it yet. This scan of my daughter's head here, and I'm in the process of printing it out life size so I can put my latest Cameo on there. I need to work on the front, and it's much easier to actually have it sitting on somebody rather than doing it on a flat table.
Man of many talents. So yeah, you brought up a good point, Richard. The software aspect of things. Like I didn't even think about that. Like watching just like Slicer PE. I mean, just grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. More and more features, more and more flexibility. Slicer PE just went from this, or let's just talk about Slicer period. Slicer went from being one of the most bare bones handful of users to now being, in my opinion, one of the most primary slicers that is used right now. I mean, most Prusa users, I think, would say that they would use Prusa PE or Slicer PE. And I mean, even on my non-Prusa printers, I'm using PE now. So watching that grow, thanks to open source, is awesome. And then on the other hand, lack of development. Simplify 3D. So this year brought a Simplify 3D update 4.1, which is what I'm calling 4.done because I'm done with it. Yeah, the update was a joke, ended up breaking more than it fixed. So, and it's all closed source. The cost of entry is ridiculous compared to free alternatives now that have surpassed it. So, you know, 2018 saw the rise of open source slicers into the echelon of absolute usability and saw the fall of the great giant that was S3D on and their like grip on specific things that made S3D worth the $150 investment. It's just not there anymore.
Gestures.
What?
I said nice hand gestures.
Oh, I'm Italian.
Very visual. No, it was good.
We talk with our hands.
It's good.
So yeah, I mean that's one of the great things that I think came out of that was the software side. Now, I'm sorry, was someone else going to say something?
I was, before we got onto the slicers, one of the things that I did kind of forget about as I was saying the changes, the evolution of new products. One of the things that we do see with FDM is the chemical companies getting interested now in filament development for 3D printing. Being so close to printed solid and being able to go down to their meetups, they get to interact with a lot of these companies, and they even have one of the guys who comes to the meetups, I believe, works for DuPont. Yeah, and DuPont's making 3D printing filament. It's expensive, but they're making it, which means one of the things that we're going to continue to see, and we've seen it this year, we've seen it previous years, is new materials coming available for FDM. Whereas like with the resin printers, resin, for the most part, resin is resin. You have slight differences in them, some tougher resins, things like that. But with FDM, we have a ton of options.
They are starting to get a little bit more crazy with the different resins available. When you're seeing not only tough resins, but you're seeing like flexible resins on the market, and other, they're trying to do with resins what they are doing with FDM and come up with variety. However, I don't think they're ever going to be able to match the variety that you can get with FDM, just because you can literally put physical crap in the filament. So metal fill, wood fill, glass fill, carbon fiber. I mean, we found, if 2018 was the year of anything, it was the year of carbon fiber filled everything. So it was, carbon fiber PETG, which, by the way, is one of my favorite materials ever to print with, especially atomic filaments. Theirs is like friggin' butter.
I haven't used our carbon fiber yet. I got 2 rolls of it just sitting.
It's amazing. And then you have like nylon X, you have nylon G, which is glass fill. We have carbon fiber ABS, we have carbon fiber PLA. Everything now. So like you said, seeing these different companies enter into the ecosystem. So like DuPont, we saw Verbatim enter into 3D printing. Verbatim, the CD manufacturer.
I've got to read this out of the chat. I'm sorry, Joe Mike.
Go for it.
Yes, Robbie Mack is absolutely correct. This year was the year of
fluorescent brown. That says it all right there, Duck. Duck said it all. Fluorescent brown.
Fluorescent brown.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
BASF is another big name.
I had to poo. It was really dark in here. I need fluorescent brown.
So
what was that?
Yeah, BASF.
BASF has moved in to the filament market. They did that in 2017. By 2018 is when they started putting product out. They're concentrated more in the professional market,
industrial,
the commercial market. But they are an entry. They're a huge firm, international firm. So that's another big player for the market.
Yeah. Kodak is making printers.
Yep. Well, Kodak is. They are trying so hard to stay relevant, and they're failing.
Yeah, they are.
But like the thing that set me like back on my like whoa kind of factor as to like 3D printing had finally 3D printing had finally hit the general public was when I was printing with Verbatim polypropylene, because it was Verbatim filament, the same company who makes my CD and DVD-Rs, and it's polypropylene of all materials. I'm like, it's got a Verbatim logo on it. It's the same company. I'm like, so Verbatim is now in the 3D printing space, which is crazy. Not only in the 3D printing space, but they are in the consumer 3D printing space.
DVDs are dying. They got to go elsewhere.
Yeah. So we're going to start running our data to 3D printed cubes out of polypropylene.
You went somewhere different than I thought you were going to go, Joe Mike. I was thinking what started sort of the initial 3D printing into mainstream now was Silhouette releasing a Delta printer to the crafting market.
That's true.
Silhouette makes the die cutters and vinyl cutters and stuff, just like Cricut and stuff like that. They're selling a Delta printer that's available at Michael's craft store.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm loving this 3.5 or this 0.35 nozzle.
Targeting directly into various consumer groups. Yeah, it's expanding it. That's showing, That's the same reason I use it for the trains. It's my hobby. I consider my hobby not to be 3D printing. My hobby is model trains and now games. And it's just a tool that I use for that. Another major name that entered the market recently is Xerox. So I don't know what they're coming up, but there's supposed to be the desktop 3D printer, FDM printer from Xerox. So we'll see what their products are like.
I'd be curious to see what Xerox comes up with. They're usually relatively innovative, and I mean, the company that first developed the GUI, Xerox. I mean, yeah, Apple and Microsoft stole it, but they're the ones who first developed it. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of offerings they bring.
Look at Dremel. Dremel has a good machine from what I hear. I mean, I have not experienced one, but I
yeah, the
understand it's a
Idea
pretty good
Maker.
printer.
Yeah, so it's gone through a number of iterations.
3D printer Home Depot carries.
Hey, Matthew, can you carry this? I got to go do dad duty again. I was going to move on to
do duty.
Do duty. I was going to move on to hot ends, so like the mosquito and all that stuff, and stuff that we saw as far as accessories coming to the market.
Are we on a checklist? All right, go.
We are on a checklist
now.
Yes, so,
accessories, market, go.
So with that said, this year we had some of the first big changes in the 3D printing hot ends that we've seen in a couple of years. E3D came out with their tool changer, and you still have the E3D V6. You have the Titan, you have the Arrow, or the Titan extruder and the Arrow. This year we saw Slice Engineering come out with the Mosquito hot end, and I know. Chris, you have one of the mosquitoes?
Nope. I wish, but no. Dave won't.
Chris Riley does.
Dave won't let me play with one. He doesn't trust me to bring it back.
So yeah, we saw the addition of the Mosquito hot end, or the release of the Mosquito hot end, which is totally re-engineered hot end altogether. E3D is coming out with their high temp, or has come out with their high temp hot ends, the heater cartridges, and also the high temperature beds that can get up to, I think, 300 degrees Celsius on a 300 by 300 build platform in a matter of seconds, as opposed to right now, like my CR10, it's a 300 by 300 24 volt or 12 volt DC bed. It can't get over 80, and that takes 10-15 minutes even in an enclosure to get that high. You guys have anything as far as hot ends? Did I miss any? I want to say there's another hot end that came out, but I can't think who it is.
We just had to buy a TiVo. What was it? The Volcano to go with. We won a Ruby Olson high temp nozzle from Community Ketchup. So I had to buy a TiVo Volcanic hot end. We have not put it on yet, so I'm looking forward to that. Anyone has any helpful tips or hints, please hit me up. I will need it, trust me.
I did think the other thing that we had come out more prevalent was mixing hot end, which unfortunately Chris from Practical Printing had to jump out. He's been doing a lot with the 810M printer. Is that from G-Tech, I think? Do you know Chris?
G-Tech.
I was thinking G-Tech.
It sounds right.
Yeah. Carl just said in the chat the G-Tech mixing hot end. So kind of the combination of the multi-material, the palette, and the MMU and the hot end. We're now starting to see more reasonable prints coming from these mixing hot ends as well.
No, Matt, it's my little mini Delta. Sorry, it has a 21-point calibration thing on there. My bad. It's just that. Sorry, Matt.
Does anybody have anything else on the hot ends of 2018? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, Scarlett Johansson the last 3 years. Very hot in.
All right, we'll move on to print 3D
He
print.
ignored it, but he knows it's
Thanks for
true.
joining your prints together. Chris, I know you can speak on one of these. 3D Gloop came out this year at Earth.
Yep.
As well as Magigoo has started releasing different material print adhesion chemicals for bonding prints together. Chris, I'll let you kind of talk about your experiences with 3D Gloop.
Yeah, the Gloop I like a lot. It works great for the PLA. Don't have any issues with it. It smells a little strong, right when you open it up, but then it calms down pretty quickly. And then the stuff works. I mean, it's simple. You got to work quick. It does evaporate out pretty quickly, but as long as you work quick, get those joints together, hold those surfaces together for like 5 minutes, you're pretty golden. I've used it to also help fill seams and cracks. I had a printer running by a window and it was catching a lot of cold draft. So sometimes you catch a print where it's cracking in the print, delamming at a certain point because it's catching a cold draft. I would pull that stuff out and hit that seam where it was delamming and keep that from happening. So I like the stuff a lot. It's got a lot of uses. I'm a big fan pretty quick.
Yeah. How much have you gone through so far this year?
I kept getting I guess it's like 120 milliliter bottle or something like that. I've gone through 4 or 5 of them. The next thing I'm getting is the can. And I would recommend maybe get one of the bottles, but then if you like it, don't buy another bottle. Just get the can and refill the bottle. I love this stuff. I was hoping to get some for Christmas, but nobody brought me any, so I'm going to order some probably tomorrow.
Has anybody on the panel used the Magigoo adhesives? I've seen them, but I haven't actually seen anybody using them yet. Maybe they're not. Are they selling them yet? I think they are.
I'm just aware of the bed adhesive. Is it something different?
Yeah, they have an adhesive material now for PLA, different specific ones for PLA, ABS, PTG, as opposed to just their bed adhesive. Standard Magigoo has been around for 2 years now.
Have not tried Magigoo. Our samples we got at Earth for the glue ended up the bottle busted on one, lost 3/4 of the other, so barely got to test it. Bought one at the Orlando Maker Faire. Our first project coming up here in about 3 weeks. I will be using it. I hope for good results. I like super glue and baking soda thus far. Quick structural bond.
Let's see. Here. So we did palette, MMU, rail post, hot ends. And of course, we had the rep box came out at Earth as well. A lot of things came out at Earth, if you guys haven't been paying attention. It was a good event for product launches.
We will be getting one of the Skewed View 3D rip board boxes.
Yep, we had the reveal of the rep box, which has been going through many iterations since Earth. And they now have multiple options. There's a lighting kit that Joe Mike did. But he also did the instructions for the assembly of it. But for anybody who doesn't know, the rep box is produced by Repcord, which is actually Repcord and Empire Designs are producing the rep boxes. It's a nice filament storage unit. It can sit on a desk or it can mount on a wall using a French cleat system.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to receive for my MM2.
What was that, Richard?
Their box is what I'm going to need to be able to wall mount so I can actually have room to run the Prusa MMU2.
Okay. Yeah, and that it's an awesome product to go hand in hand with the multi-material products, because you've got multiple spools. Depending on the size spool you're using, I think you can fit anywhere between 5 and 9, well, anywhere between 1 and 9 spools in it, depending on what size spools you're using. If you're using like the little splash spools, you can fit a bunch of those in, or the 250 gram spools, up to the 1 kilogram size spools. So we saw Repbox come out. A couple of people here on the panel are awaiting theirs. Some of us are still waiting to order ours. I got to get around to doing that. All right. Does anybody have any other innovations, new products on the market for 3D printing before we move on to community highlights?
Well, not an innovation, but ongoing support for Octoprint. We're constantly see updates for that, and it's another open source product and another community product. So I really appreciate the work folks put into that, because I just love using it. Makes life much easier.
Right. Anybody else? All right. We'll move on to community highlights. First one, F3DPCH European edition begins this year. Back in August, Martin contacted me about putting together a European stream, and that took us back to doing a weekly stream as opposed to a bi-weekly stream that we had been doing for about a year prior to that. So we got to see the beginning of the European stream, and along the lines of live streams, we had the beginning of the community catch-up stream by Repcord and Apyro Designs as well. That is a every 2-week stream. They've taken the month of December off for the holidays and everything, and to kind of gather their thoughts and evaluate the way they're doing some things on the stream, and then they're going to be back again starting in January. And we also had, for new live streamers, we had Walter, of course, started his streams on Country 3D on YouTube. We had Chris's Basement started streaming. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm misreading thing. We had Country 3D started streaming. Potent Printables, Ollie started streaming. He's the one who at Earth had a lot of the cool mechanical designs that he designed the entire 3D print.
Yeah, the griff bat, dude.
What was that?
Yeah, the griff bat.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Yep. He actually just started live streaming just in the nick of time.
Last night?
The 2018 recap. Last night was his first live stream. And talking to him, it sounds like he plans on doing quite a few more coming in 2019, as well as joining us on the Friday night hangouts, too. Who else do we have new this year? Brian Vines with BB3D. He was in the chat a little earlier. He started live streaming, and we had the JT and Ivan Miranda started their live streams on Tuesday mornings, I believe it is. Is that right, Sean?
I think it's Tuesday.
Yeah, I think it's Tuesday mornings, like 8 or 9 a.m. On the East Coast. Not sure what time it is for them.
Early.
Yeah. Who else? Any other live streams? We had the Fun in the Country Basement.
Wiley 3D, Mike Whaley.
Mike Whaley.
And yeah, the 3D print nerd or German print nerd. They do a little live stream in the mornings. Yep. Ricky Tanner 3D live stream, modeling, Blender, all kinds of cool stuff in the morning. I do an occasional nighttime stream, but you won't find that. It's all deleted, so don't worry about that. Hey, 2019 though, there will be an official Skewed View 3D bi-weekly live stream. Me and the boys doing some designing, taking questions, just having some good 3D printing, modeling fun.
Are you guys going to be doing that on YouTube or Twitch or both?
On YouTube.
On YouTube?
Should probably check into Twitch. I don't know. Anytime I think of Twitch, I think of an uncle I used to have, and yeah, that wasn't the same thing.
Any other live streams that I'm missing that started up this year? I think that pretty much covers all. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, on the notes there, I'm pretty sure Chris Riley's been streaming for a while.
Yeah,
I mentioned Merv.
Yeah, so I was more alluding to the fact that we've seen a lot more of collaborative streams. So the Country Basement and Fun King 3D and Chris Riley have been doing these streams where they do a Google Hangout type of stream, and they just hang out and
Country
work
Fun in the
shop.
Basement Sundays.
Yeah, they just hang out, they talk, and they all just do their own thing, but it's like they're hanging out in the same room. So, seeing that kind of stuff's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when I said Chris Riley at first, I was reading one line, meant to be reading another line, and realized it.
Okay. Well, we are hitting the 11 o'clock hour. So let's go ahead and do the traditional outros. Let's go ahead and start with John, since it looks like he needs to get out.
Blank.
John, do you want to come on and do your thing, or dude is a statue? Okay, well,
looks like he may have left the room for a moment.
Yeah. So Chris?
Yes, sir.
We're doing
all right. Okay, I'm caught up. At mcrispy1 on the Twitters. Also follow at Earth 2018. Keep an eye on www.eastcoastrepfestival.com for more details for the upcoming Earth. Thanks, everybody.
Excellent. And we're not going to end the stream here. This is just our 11 o'clock Central Time outro. 2 hour mark. Matt, you're up.
I'm Matt from How I Do It. You can find me youtube.com/howidoit. Twitter, I'm at Country Cowboy. Instagram, Facebook, Matthew Flinchball. As far as the Friday night hangouts go, the next European stream is on this coming Friday, the 4th. And the next US stream will be the 11th of January. 10 a.m. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the EU streams are 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 20 UTC.
Or GMT.
GMT. Same thing.
Whichever one we go with. Richard?
Well, I'm Richard Murray with the Zadim channel. Best way to find me is zadim.com. Zadim17 on social media. And I do try to go live on Wednesdays, but all depends if I can sit in front of the computer that day. So my focus is on 3D printing for model trains. I think I have to rename that to 3D printing for hobbies, as I am getting into more game furniture, game tiles, and I've been printing Mad Max stuff today, so for a game called Gaslands. So that's the main areas. I think I've been here since about episode 3 too.
Oh yeah, one of the OGs. Let's see, Sean?
Yeah, all right. So what episode is this now? I'm still a youngster, apparently.
Who knows what episode we're on?
Right. Let's just roll with it. Anyhow, so I am Shom with the Skewed View 3D. Father and sons run 3D printing business, YouTube channel, Twitter, whatever. Got an idea you want to bring to life, hit us up. That's about it.
Okay. I am Joe Mike Terranella, if you want the full thing. Got a YouTube channel, Joe Mike Terranella. I'm on Twitter as Mojike. That's where most of my recent activity has been. We'll be getting back into the YouTube content here in 2019. Now that baby is starting to slowly start getting on a schedule here. I'm watching the monitor right now. That's why I say that. But yeah, so Instagram, all that stuff, I'm out there. Recently just hit 10,000 subscribers on my channel, which is awesome.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you. It actually happened on Christmas, which is like, I hadn't been watching it that closely, and then someone kind of nudged me and was like, hey, look at your subscriber count. And I looked, I was like, holy crap, Merry Christmas. So yeah, it was kind of a neat little Christmas present. I don't deserve that many, but there it is. Okay, so we are officially in hour 3 of our broadcast. And you guys can't see broadcast, live stream. So we're going to transition a little bit. Well, actually, let's continue on with community highlights because we still have some more. So we talked about the streamers out there. We've seen a lot of live streaming on YouTube. We've seen some live streamers leave YouTube and go to Twitch as their primary mechanism, one of which being Barnacles, the other of which, when he actually streams, would be Dustin, aka the Japman. They're primarily Twitch streamers now. So we have seen some decline in YouTube streamers, but we've also seen an increase in YouTube streamers. Some of the smaller channels are starting to fill in the gap, which is awesome. I personally love to live stream because when we get in and we start making these very produced videos, people don't get to see that we make mistakes. And sometimes our mistakes are pretty brutal.
We seen your mistake. You were in the tub.
I know my slogan is I screw up so you don't have to.
Yeah, you know, and I remember one live stream I did, I was removing support from a life-size skull, and I straight up broke the skull and cut myself on live stream. You know, it's just little things like that, you know? Nice. It's just like, hey, we're learning too still on some of this stuff, and even the stuff that we're comfortable with, every now and then, we screw up. And when I say every now and then, I mean quite often. So yeah, cool to see so many new live streamers in there. Speaking of YouTube, Joel Telling, aka the 3D printing nerd, went full-time YouTube creator this year, which is awesome. I know, you know, personally, he's a guy that I, you know, look up to. I don't necessarily structure my channel after his, but he's a guy that knows a lot about 3D printing, knows a lot about content creation, and puts in the work to do it full time now, which is something I would love to do. I think a lot of us would love to take our hobbies and actually make that our career. And whether that is just taking our hobbies and then making videos about them, or actually creating a business structured around those hobbies, you know, it's one of those things where when your hobby is your career, you don't have a job. You just do what you love to do all day. And yeah, and I think, you know, we've seen kind of some ups and downs with that with Joel. You know, how tiring it is to keep putting out content and to make sure that the ad revenue keeps coming in, and making sponsorships and having to always make all these trips everywhere to make sure that he's at the events and meeting different manufacturers and taking different tours and stuff like that. So it's definitely a full-time job that he's doing. He's not just like sitting at home and releasing a video every now and then. He's out there, he's active. So it's really cool to see him, you know, in his element. I think that is a good element for him.
and still honestly enjoying it.
Oh yeah, he still does really fun content. I mean,
No, he does. You can see it.
You know, a lot of people were worried when you know, they slapped the Matter Hackers logo on him because, you know, Matter Hackers is a sponsor, so they were like, oh well, there goes Joel's channel. He's now, you know, sold out. You know, he's bought. And I haven't seen that. Yeah, he gives credit to Matter Hackers where Matter Hackers gets credit, and he also thanks them for supporting his channel, because they do. So he stays very true to who he is, which is a very honest and genuine person. And his projects are still really fun to watch. He's got a really great balance of just crazy projects and functional projects, which I love to see. And I think keeps his channel well balanced in demonstrating the 3D printing world. I mean, if you think about it, when someone who is curious about 3D printing hops on YouTube and just starts Googling, they see usually 3 channels: Joel, Angus,
Tom,
and Tom.
Yeah.
And from those three,
it's Joel's curiosity that draws them in.
Yeah, and it's Joel's like, hey, I'm just the average dude kind of vibe.
I agree.
That really sells a lot of people on 3D printing and draws them to him. Angus is very detailed and very much tinker, and Tom is like the king of 3D printing. I mean, Tom is our like almost godfather when it comes to the YouTube 3D printing community. So when it comes to like the base tutorials, when it comes to putting in the hours of testing filaments and printers, Tom been there, done that, still doing that. So yeah, it's cool to see him in that space. Yeah, he is. And that's I actually structured my channel initially after Tom, and then started kind of combining between Tom and Joel. Yeah.
Then you started doing math, and then you had a kid, so it kind of went up and down.
Yeah, kids will do that. So, Matt, did you talk about Creality?
I did not. Nope, we didn't get to that yet.
Okay. So 2018 was what I guess I'll call Creality Gate, or Marlin Gate, whichever you want to call it, because that's how we say everything now. That a gate at the end, and it makes it a conspiracy or a whatever scandal. That's where I was looking.
Yeah, we just got our Ender 3 Pro 3 today, and 2 weeks late, assembled and plugged it in, nada.
Yeah, I mean, there's QC stuff that still needs to be worked out. But initially, you know, this year we saw the uproar of the 3D printing community as a whole, which we don't see very often. Usually when the 3D community bands together and gets peeved off, it's because someone in the community has been attacked and we're rallying around them. 99% of the time, that's why we get peeved off. This time, however, we saw just something that kind of offended our sense of morality as people who are active in open source utilization, and that was Creality not sharing back their firmware, which was Marlin, which is share alike. They didn't fork it, and they wouldn't publish it outside their bootloader, so you couldn't manipulate it, you couldn't do anything with it. What you got from them is what you got. And you know, Scott, who is managing Marlin, you know, called him out, said, hey, why aren't you forking my firmware? This is my firmware. You guys have obviously made changes. You're using it. Fork it. That's the rule. And so for a while, we had this huge boycott on Creality stuff until they and I think, you know, Naomi Wu finally got in there in the mix and kind of helped smooth things out. And Creality finally said, okay, we'll come into compliance with that. And it's still a little touchy here and there, but Yeah, that I think was a big turning point in the 3D printing community as far as a whole, saying, hey, we acknowledge open source as a huge part of what we do, and now we need to acknowledge that there are rules with open source, and it's not just take. When we do things that are licensed under certain open source rules, we have to contribute back. And so that's just, I think, woke up some people to the reality of open source and the way it works. Introduced a lot of people to open source to begin with. I mean, what is it? I mean, why is everyone up in arms about this? And then they got educated. I mean, lots of people did videos on it, and it was great because then they were like, oh, well, this is what makes all of this tick, and it's free, but yeah, it's open source. So that means that there's something behind it that keeps it going, and there are rules. So that was really cool to see that. We also saw the rise of additional safety with 3D printing. So Chuck Hellebuck, chat, very much a safety advocate when it comes to 3D printing. And, he's always been posting videos about how, certain manufacturers aren't using properly sized components for electrical currents. And recently he's been talking about the thermal runaway issue, and how, a lot of these printers are not coming with thermal runaway enabled, and how that's a complete safety hazard, because if you got a broken something or other, it could just heat up to non-existence and set the whole dang thing on fire. So there's been a huge push there to get manufacturers, especially Chinese manufacturers, to enable thermal runaway from the factory and get that to where it's just a thing, just a basic safety thing, easy to enable, and to also look at their components that they use. So 2018's been the year of telling China, will you please stop trying to kill us with your equipment? Let's see what else we got here.
And hey, real quick, Joe, if you don't mind me saying so, I think this is okay to throw out here, but one of the cool things Printed Solid just started doing, Richard brought up Octoprint earlier, but Printed Solid just this past week, they started selling stickers, if you will, for Octoprint and Marlin. They're $5 for each sticker that you order. Printed Solid's not keeping any of the money. They're passing it straight through. So if you're a fan of Octoprint, that's one way you can get some money over to Gina. And then if you're a fan of Marlin, that's the way you can get some money over to Scott Latine and his efforts over there. Plus, you get a sticker. So I think Marlin's great to support. They power the great majority of our printers that are out there. Especially when you're talking rep wrap and the printers that people are customizing and doing new different things with. So just so that you're aware, I think it's worth bringing up, but they're passing all that straight through to those causes. So
yeah. And if you want to be even more active in supporting Marlin and Octoprint, both Gina and Scott have Patreon accounts. I am a patron, I guess, of both of them. Actually, out of all the patrons, I can't think of
it probably is Patreon patron.
Yeah, out of all the people on Patreon that I subscribe to and give to monthly, Scott and Gina are the two that I actually give large amounts to. And when I say a large amount, I mean more than $1. So like Gina, I think I'm at like the $10 level, and Scott, I'm at like maybe I don't know what I'm with Scott, but it was because out of the realization of every single freaking printer that I own is running Marlin. and every single freaking printer I own is running a Raspberry Pi with Octoprint on it. And both of them are being actively developed, and they're being actively developed by people who are doing it open source and for free. These aren't people who are part of an organization who are being paid to develop this stuff. They're doing it for the community. They're doing it to see advances in what we do. So as the community, we can pay back, give them a little something, and that helps the development continue. So I think it's important, before you go and slam, $5 towards your favorite YouTube creator, consider maybe slamming that $5 towards Gina or Scott. I've got a Patreon account, and I would rather you take the $1 that you were going to give me or whatever and give it to either Scott or Gina, because they're doing work.
I threw the links for Scott and Gina in the chat for their Patreons for anybody who wants to contribute to them. And this may be a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, mute your headphones for the next 2 seconds. Everybody who got the December Maker Box got some of the money for that went to support Marlin as well. Maker Box made a donation, and everybody got a Marlin sticker. One of the ones that Chris was saying that Print Solid is selling to support them.
Yeah.
And the dog dies, the robot did it, and the butler's guilty.
I love the fact that Printed Solid is coming alongside both Gina and Scott to help support them. They are absolutely pillars in the 3D printing community, and they are absolutely pillars in what we do. Without Marlin, oh my gosh, who knows where we would be right now, what we would be running. The fact that Marlin has developed so much over such a short amount of time, it's flipping amazing. I've seen software development go so slow from people who are being paid salary, wages, yet Marlin is like, there's a request, Scott got on it. He's on it. If there's a break, Scott's got it fixed. He is on it. That and the fact that it's open source, so people get their hands on it, make a new flavor of it, work it, and now we have something else to play with. It's really great. I love it.
Well, we should highlight too, Dave's not here, so we can talk nice about him. Printed Solid, MakerBox, they've been an incredible part of the community as well. So, we can see that from the support, from the gatherings at the office, and putting the cards out. I'm hooked on whatever candy they put in the box of the month. And their addition for, the Maker Box, their change going up to having the simple form where you're getting just multiple colors of the same PLA so you can see the colors, or you have the advanced one where you can get different type of new PLAs coming out and experiment with those. Or, today I hit the bullet and got the send me everything. I want to try it all. So it's just been a great part of being able to expand what we do, be able to try out things. But as I said, they stand behind the products. They're doing this donation with the stickers, doing the support, and reaching out. And they've been on our stream. So.
In the Explorer box, which is the traditional Maker box, that's still the one that I receive. I still think it's one of the best things that happen to the 3D community. There are materials that I've received that I have bought spools of, one of which being the Atomic at PETG. Once I printed my first thing out of that, I was like, I am buying a roll. And since then, I have purchased, I think, no less than 4 rolls of it, the PETG with the carbon fiber. And there are nylons in there that I've purchased. There's PLAs in there that I've purchased. There's copolys in there that I've purchased for rolls because I had a chance to sample it. Sometimes you just don't know what's out there, and you get it, and it's like, this is neat.
Yep.
Who knew?
One of the MakerBox samples was Protopastas copper composite. I saw the sample, didn't even print with it, and turned around and bought it. It printed solid that Sunday at the meetup. I saw just the sample. I was like, oh, I gotta have that.
That was one of my favorite ones to play with, because they actually sent me several several samples of it, because they wanted me to show the various processing of it, and show it in its unfinished, and it's finished, and in its patina state. So I got to print with that a lot, and I was amazed at just how great of a filament it actually is. But yeah, you get exposure to all these great exotics, as well as some brands of non-exotics that you've never heard of, but may print better than the ones that you've been using. So you might switch and try a different brand for a while. But yeah. Okay.
Community hand-ups.
Community hand-ups. We can touch on that. So this has definitely been the year of community, 3D printing community banding together for one another. I mean, I think that's kind of where the catchy actually came from. I think the catchy was spun from the idea of the 3DP family. So not too long ago, before Murph, we found out that Travis and his family couldn't go to Murph because they had to use their Murph money on something for their car. I can't remember. I think it was they had to get a new car.
Yeah, I think they bought a car.
Yeah, so they weren't going to be able to make it to Murph. So we stood up a GoFundMe, and we got them to Murph. The community banded together. When Savannah was born, when we had our baby, not too long after, we got this amazing gift. Well, it wasn't a basket, but it was a whole bunch of amazing things that we absolutely needed as new parents, and all from the community. And recently you had Garrett and Chelsea of Chaos Cortec, whose their dog needed a surgery, and it was going to be really expensive. And so again, we got the GoFundMe train going again. The 3D printing community stepped up, and it's just amazing how tight knit and how much we look out for each other. It really is a family. It's transitioning from community into family, which is a great transition. So it's that kind of mentality, and I don't know, personalities that are drawn into this community that just make it such a great community / family to be a part of. And I really look forward to seeing that continue in 2019, to see how many more people come in and become close family and become part of this community. We see more and more people each day kind of step up a little bit more on Twitter. We see a new channel pop up on YouTube that, hey, this person's really knows what they're doing. They're interested. They're talented. They're knowledgeable, and they're fun to watch. That's what it's all about. So yeah, I'm running out of steam. You guys got anything to say? We lost Sholm.
Yeah, we did. No, just to piggyback on what you were saying, Joe Mike, the way that the community has pulled together, both with the open source, defending the open source stuff with the China printers, and with these couple of community hand-ups that have happened through the year. There was also the one for Wellbot that went on too. And there's another one going on. I never can remember who it's for, but one of the members of the 3D printing community's house caught fire. there was a fund put together for them as well. You know, I was able to be a part of 3 of those, and you also have Joel every year doesn't put together, but takes up collection for the children's Seattle Children's Hospital. And this year alone, he was somewhere $5,000 to $6,000 sent from all around the world to support a local children's hospital where he lives. It it makes you extremely proud to be part of this community when you see the community pull together and accomplish things that for one person or 2 people would be almost impossible. It really brings a smile to your face every time to think about what this community is capable of. I think that is the coolest thing.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, we have awesome people out there. We've got very talented engineers. We've got very talented artists, and we've got very talented tech people. But at the end of the day, we've got a lot of people that have, you know, big hearts.
The community is built off of empathy in my mind, because you know, I got introduced to this community because I was having a problem with a printer, didn't understand what the hell was going on. I needed to reach out to other people. I reached out, and when I reached out, people were there that were in that same boat once, and they were empathetic, so they let me in, and that's what this community does. It's very empathetic, at least how I look at it. We're very empathetic, and when these things happen, we relate to it. I've met so many great, fantastic, awesome people in this community at events like Murph and Earth. And very, very few people have I met, and I said, oh, I don't want to run into this person again. Really good folks, and it's something I'm really proud to be part of, is knowing who I am considering myself amongst, and I feel lucky to be able to do so.
Yeah. And I mean, on a fun note, I talk about hitting 10,000 subscribers, and I always talk about that's, you know, 9,550 more than I thought I'd ever have. And the reason why is because, like, when I started putting videos up on YouTube, I had no intention of becoming a content creator. It was something that had never ever even entered my mind as being something that would be a viable thing, a hobby / source of any form of income. It was just, what happened was I was on various 3D printing groups in Facebook, and I'm seeing a lot of people running into the same problem over and over and over again, and seeing a lot of people try to explain the solution over and over and over again. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just going to shoot a video of this. When I say a lot of people explain the same solution, I mean me explaining the same solution over and over and over again. I was like, I'm just going to shoot a video of this, and you know, they can watch the video, and in the future I can just link people to the video, they can watch it, and that it'll be like kind of like this resource of a knowledge base of things that I've already ran into, problems that I've ran into and have taken care of. And then, you know, upgrades that I've done to my printers. You know, people ask, hey, what all did you do with that upgrade? So then I did videos on, here's how I did this upgrade. That's how I started, was by trying to support other people who wanted to do the same thing that I was doing. And at the same time, I was over on Tom's channel watching the stuff, trying to learn from him. I'm like, oh, what the crap am I supposed to do with this inductive sensor? I don't know what to do with this inductive sensor. And then I learned, and I took that knowledge, and when the BL Touch came out, I was like, okay, so I can apply the same knowledge I learned from the inductive sensor to the BL Touch. And then I started messing with the BL Touch, and then all of a sudden there was like this huge, like, hey, you know, what about putting the BL Touch on this? Or what about this board? What about this printer? And I was like, well, let me just do a quick tutorial on the BL Touch and see where that goes. And that ended up blowing up. And then I started thinking, okay, so what other things are out there that are really cool that people need to know about, but aren't necessarily clear as far as setup? And that is what spawned the Octoprint series. And that at that point I knew I was a content creator. And you know, I tried not to lose focus of why I did that, you know, and how I started and why my channel exists. So that's why in 2019, I just put a video on my channel, just kind of a Merry Christmas video. Here's what's coming up. And basically in 2019, I said, I'm going back to my roots. 2018 was filled with a bunch of very interesting content. A lot of reviews in there, which is great. I don't mind doing reviews, especially when, you know, there's filament that I get to play with or a printer I get to play with. But at the same time, I want to do more as far as education. I want to help the Joe from 4 years ago who was just getting into this. I want to help him with getting, you know, going quicker. So I'm trying to remember why I started doing this in the first place and go back to it, which is the community. That's why I started doing this, was to help others. And that's what I want to keep doing. So that's my mission statement for 2019.
Sounds good. I got a question for everyone, especially the folks in chat. Since we're looking back at the year, what were people's favorite episode of the F3DPCH?
Mine would probably be the one where we had Shane from Prussia and Mitch from Mosaic, and we brought them on to talk about the MMU2 and the Palette 2, right on the cusp of both of them kind of coming out. The Palette 2 wasn't released yet; it was announced. The MMU2 wasn't shipping yet. There were tons of pre-orders, but it wasn't shipping yet. But Shane had one and had been using it. So I think for me that episode was talking about two technologies that basically do the same thing but do it differently and take different approaches. But honestly, the best thing about that was having, you know, representatives from the manufacturers. So having Shane on there from Prussia and having, you know, Mitch, and then any other episode that has someone from any other company like Printed Solid, and even Dave from Matter Hackers has been on. You know, or Sean with IC3D. You know, it's like all these guys who pop onto our streams here, who work for the companies that produce the stuff or sell the stuff that we use every day, and are able to talk a little bit more further in depth into the stuff that we do than we might have access or knowledge to. But as far as my favorite episode, it's either that one or the one that I began with the video of me in the bathtub with deep thoughts.
Hey, we gotta maybe work on another one of them. 2 years is coming up.
Oh man.
I gotta agree with you that the Palette MMU episode definitely ranks high up there this year. For one primary reason, that episode, Joe Mike, you kind of kicked off a snowball effect that a lot of the episodes that we've had since then have had a special guest of some kind come on. I have personally really enjoyed having these special guests, having Matt, the fact that we got Matt Gordon to come on the live stream.
Yeah.
Dave has been trying for a long time to get Matt to come on.
Shy guy.
He is. But we got Matt Gordon. We had Shane from Prusa. We had Mitch. We had Sean from IC3D. We had Protopasta. We had Alex and Tinkers come on.
That's right.
And the fact, I think if I had to pick one episode, the Bathtub Thoughts with Joe Mike would be number 2. And the fact that we actually got to have a live stream in the IC3D factory showing a filament extrusion line. I never would have thought that these live streams would have ever gone to something like that. That's awesome. And I'd say third on that list of favorites was the fact that just about a year ago we had a 1-year anniversary stream, and we're coming up on the 2nd-year anniversary. When this started, this wasn't a thought. So I'd say that's my 3 for the year to kind of further extend your question, Richard.
Yeah.
So my little lady is waking up, and I need to go up there. I'm trying to give my wife some rest here, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off. And I know Chris needs to head out as well. Matt, I'll let you take it out, but okay. Just real quick, I'm not even going to bother you. If you want to find me, you can find me. But I just want to thank the community for an amazing 2018, and I want to just implore you to treat each other kindly, keep the 3DP community amazing, keep the family amazing, be just helpful. Bring in the new people. Let the new people come in. You know, impart the knowledge and wisdom that you've learned through blood, sweat, and tears into the new generation that's coming in, especially after Christmas when everyone's got a new 3D printer. Not everyone, but, you know, lots of people. But again, thank you so much for, number 1, accepting me into this family, and number 2, for being such an amazing, amazing community. I love you guys. God bless. I will be around, and I'll talk to you later. Matt, all yours, man.
Nice outro, Joe Mike. Thanks for hosting tonight, Joe Mike, and coming up with the lineup for tonight and everything, the topics. I really appreciate it, and we will catch you on the next one.
Okay, now if I close out of this, does it end the stream, or do I just need to...
Click the X. Don't click the stop broadcast button.
You got it.
Peace out, Joe Mike.
See you, Joe Mike.
Hi, Joe.
Okay, he dropped out, and we are still live. Okay.
Oh,
just wanted to make sure. Chris, go ahead with your answer to Richard's question, if you have an answer.
The answer is a lot of the same. I think the Mitch and Shane, the dual lane MMUs was really cool, and I think the filament extrusion line at IC3D was pretty slick too. But I know it's just the beginning. I know there's going to be a lot more cool things to come. And I look forward to them. I don't know what they're going to be yet, but I know that there are going to be some cool things that happen on these streams, and I do look forward to it. But with that, I'm about to fall over. I'm punch drunk tired at this point. So everybody have a good one. Stay tuned for more Earth info, and everybody please have a happy and safe is the key word, new year. Don't do anything foolish. Be safe. I want to enjoy everybody's company next year.
Absolutely.
Peace out, everybody.
Hey,
Have
Chris,
a good night.
And I think as Chris is dropping off, Richard, if you want to answer your own question, and along with that answer, if you want to do your outro, I think we're just going to wrap up for tonight. We're already almost 3 hours in, so.
Okay, well, my favorite 2 episodes have already been mentioned. I do think we had a major change when we went to having our 2 representatives talking about their new products on here. I think that really changed the level of the show. But watching, is it 10 kilograms of filament being spun out during a live stream, getting to see the process. That was wonderful. Being right in the plant, but also with seeing what was going on in the background, those huge printers that they're making, getting the commentary of, these are individuals that deal with industry representatives from other industries who are trying to get products 3D printed. Just learning about that and what level of knowledge is out there. It was a great episode. Learned a lot from that. So, no, it's been a great year, and I'm looking forward to yet another one as we go on to year 3. But I'm Richard Murray. The channel is Zidim. You can find me on Zidim.com. It has links to everything. I'm Zidim17 on social media. There's a question put out, and I don't know. Oh, yeah, Robbie Max here. He asked if I consider 3D printing a tool in the hobby, a tool for my other hobbies, or a hobby in itself. The answer is yes. It's both. So I'm looking at stuff that I would never have printed for any of my hobbies, but I printed because it was just something neat that you could print. And well, one of the files it ships with the MK3 Nefertiti here, I assembled it, printed her, I had her sitting here, and I happened to be listening to an audiobook all about her. So it was kind of interesting because they do talk a lot about this sculpture and what you can read into her personality. And so just being able to have something that there's no way I can go see it. I got a copy of it here. It includes the chips on the stone and everything. So it's a great scan. Another thing from the museum, a gunboat from the American Revolution. So being able to see that and learn about it, those are hobby things. So hopefully that answers the question. And yeah, everybody be safe. And it's going to be a fun 2019.
All right. Thanks, Richard. I'd like to thank everybody who came on tonight. Thank Joe Mike for hosting the majority of the stream and coming up with the lineup tonight. And with that said, from all of us at F3DPCH, we'd like to wish you guys a happy new year and hope that 2019 is better than 2018.
One thing out,
everybody. Oh,
still missing a hat. I haven't seen a hat model yet.
All right. Yeah, have a good Happy New Year's, everybody, from all of us at F3DPCH, and we'll see you guys next week on the European stream. Have a good night.